I don't think women really understand how men think. There's a lot of things women do for the attention of other women or the acceptance of other women or to compete with other women. But you're out of touch in terms with what a man wants, and is incongruent with what our needs and wants are. There are a lot of women who are attracting decent men, quality dudes, but you can't close the deal for some reason. And you think in many cases it's him. But no one is telling you, hey, here's what men really want. This is Caesar Walker, the cool, calm, collected one.
And I'm Ronnie Gatry, the emotional one.
And we are the Tipping Point Podcast, your source for the black male's perspective.
Tipping Point Podcast.
Generally, when you ask single women how dating is going, is usually met, especially if they're older, is usually met with not so positive sentiments.
As we saw with Danielle and Sean. Yeah.
Shouts out to them. And I thought about that, and it made me think about the problems that women have. And I kind of reduced them to like 3 categories. First category that women have is some women have an attraction issue. You have problems attracting a man. Now, these women get hit on. Women get hit on all the time. So when I say attracting a man, attracting the man you want. Okay? There's reasons for that. Obviously, the one that comes to mind, and by the way, when you talk about having an attraction problem, in most cases and for a lot of women, these are issues that they can correct themselves. They can actually do something about it. They just, for whatever reason, choose not to. Okay? One reason is when it comes to attracting a man, it's you're not prioritizing looking your best. Right? That could be as it pertains to health and fitness. You're not prioritizing a healthy lifestyle as it pertains to diet, exercise. You're not consistent with it like you should be. Another issue is the way you dress when it comes to presenting the best version of yourself. Now, I have had conversations with women, and I have heard women say, when I go out, I purposefully dress down just because I don't want a man to hit on me.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard that? Ever heard that?
I have heard that, yeah.
Okay. All right. Thought I was about.
I've seen it.
Same here.
That was not called for, but okay.
He's not wrong.
He's not
wrong. So we've heard this.
Yeah.
I understand that, but it doesn't make sense because these same women then complain about quality men out there.
Right.
And so I understand that, okay, you want to run your errands and do your errands in peace. I get that. But you want companionship as well. And you're traditional in the sense that you're not going to approach men and try to initiate a relationship.
Right.
You expect him to do that. Well, how is he going to do that if you're trying to repel him? Right? And so when I say there's an attraction issue, I think that there are women who are doing things that sabotages the ultimate goal of attracting a quality man to them. Because to me, that they remind me of the teacher in school. What's up?
I think I have one more. I don't know if you're going to touch on it, but I believe women are doing things to impress other women, and it's not attracting men. I don't know if you were going to go there or not.
I was going to get into that point.
Okay.
No, you're good. No, keep going.
Because when I look around, when you see like what's popular, like on IG and things like that, what they're promoting, those things are for women. It's not for women to attract men, in my opinion. Like I talk to a lot of guys. They aren't crazy about the big eyelashes and things like that.
Lord Jesus.
And what's that? The
you either?
The baby edges on their foreheads, that kind of stuff. Like,
oh yeah.
I don't know if that's not for us. That's what women do to impress women, in my opinion. But I feel those are things that they're doing that it's not for a man.
Right.
Do you think putting eyelashes on the car for men?
That's when you need your drum. your
No more soundboard, buddy.
But to the point, makeup. You can also argue with the makeup. A lot of that is like nowadays, women are putting on as much makeup as what we used to see people when they went in drag.
Or it looks like a filter to me,
yeah.
That's what it looked like. They put on a filter.
Is it like that?
You haven't been paying attention, huh?
Yes.
What about black? Okay, black. You.
They paint on a whole new face.
Yeah, it's
not coming across my feed.
Well, again, it doesn't have to be on your feed.
Oh,
just go out and pay attention. It's on there. It's on faces.
Well, tell me more about this. Is that a new app?
How long have you been 40 again?
I feel like I've been here
under 30 days.
But to add to that point, like there are a lot of things women are doing it's an attraction problem. And to me, it's like you're going to have to pick a struggle. You're going to either have to deal with men hitting on you and it's inconvenient, or you're going to have to deal with repelling men because that's what you know what I mean? You're going to have to pick a struggle. Those two work against each other, right? So the third one is, when it comes to the attraction problem, is I notice women, they don't have a problem attracting a man. In other words, they prioritize a healthy lifestyle. They know how to dress. They know how to put on clothes and look good. They just don't go anywhere. They go to work and they go home. They don't really all about the nightlife. They're not that, you know what I mean? Yeah. They go home. Now, the only way that you're going to meet someone is if you're at home and you get a knock on your door or the doorbell rings and you go to the door and there's a guy there and he says, you've never met me, but I pray and I talk to God a lot, and he revealed to me this lovely woman, and I got your address and I just wanted to show up, present myself, introduce myself, and want to know if would you like to go to dinner. Now, there may be some women who may actually be okay with that, but most women would be creeped out about that, right?
Right.
Because first of all, who are you? And how did you find out where I live?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So if that's not normal for you, then understand that is, for some women, the only way you can ever meet a man. Mm. He would have to be a creep, in your opinion. So there's an attraction problem. A lot of women are doing things that aren't attracting the guy that they want. Now, the second group of women is you don't have an attraction problem. You don't have an attraction problem. You have guys that approach you, that you deal with. You have what I call a choosing problem. You just pick the wrong guys, right? And so you're jaded at the dating market because you're picking guys who may have poor character, who are still trying to find themselves, who are still trying to determine purpose, pursuit. Like, you know what I mean? They got a lot of stuff. There's a lot of development needed with these men, right? And so because those relationships don't end well, you're jaded. Well, your issue is not the issue of the woman who has an attraction problem. You have a choosing problem, right? We're not going to deal with her tonight. We're going to deal with the last category, which intrigues me a lot, fellas. And this woman, she doesn't have an issue attracting men. She doesn't have an issue attracting men that she wants. She has an issue closing. And what I mean by that is she'll date a guy, and for whatever reason, the guy either loses interest or the relationship just continues on in the dating. They never get to the next level.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Or they just continue to hang out. They're in that weird space. For whatever reason, this guy doesn't want to commit to her. This is what I commonly frame this as, the woman saying, this guy is just emotionally unavailable. We've heard that before.
Sounds like a nightmare to me, but
he's emotionally unavailable, right? Now, I'm not saying that it's not a possibility that he is that he's not emotionally unavailable, right? You got friends, I got friends. We go to we hear guys and we know that there are men who struggle with commitment. We know that there are guys who have an issue with marriage. There are guys who are afraid of committing at that high of a level, right? So it's not lost on me, and it would be disingenuous to act like that's not a thing amongst us as men.
Right.
But I'm not quite sure if that's the case in all areas. And I think that what I wanted to do is kind of camp out here and just kind of talk about a book I read recently. And I think that this book will help women understand how men think. Okay?
Didn't Steve Harvey do that?
Well played.
Where's your drum?
And he did that and what, 2 movies?
Yeah.
That was not how men thought at all. But I thought this book will help because I don't think women really understand how men think. And there's not a lot of spaces where men can speak freely about what they want and what they respond to. You just said it earlier, Black. There's a lot of things women do for the attention of other women or the acceptance of other women or to compete with other women, right? But you're out of touch in terms with what a man wants, and is incongruent with what our needs and wants are, right? You're doing things, but they don't exactly fit what we want. And there are a lot of women who are attracting decent men, quality dudes, but you can't close the deal for some reason. And you think in many cases it's him. But no one is telling you, hey, here's what men really want. Here's what men desire. So I have a book that I read recently by author Bruce Bryans called The 7 Irresistible Qualities That Men Want from Women. And what I wanted to do is go through each of these qualities tonight, chop it up, and I want us to just kind of give our thoughts about it and just talk about it. And I think that this will serve as a opportunity to kind of help women gain an understanding, but it also at the same time will help men who are out here dating know what to expect from a woman that you're seriously considering a committed relationship or a long-term relationship with. Sounds good?
I like it.
Now I want to give some disclaimers before we even get into this.
Uh-oh.
I got to give some disclaimers with this. Disclaimer number 1. This is not a bashing women session. Okay,
That's important.
We're not Black.
We just lost our producer.
Black is leaving. See you next week, Black. But no, we're not. We're not bashing. And I think it's important for women to understand that, but it's also important for men to understand that because, again, it's not just women who are jaded. There are a lot of jaded men out there, and sometimes your experience can put you in one or two categories. First category is you're bitter. You're bitter. So anytime you hear an opportunity to complain about women, talk about men, and just flock to it. If there's an opportunity to talk about what men aren't doing or what they are doing, women will flock to it. This content is not for you if you're on the bitter side, because we're trying to talk about the issues and bring about some solutions.
Okay.
Hopefully you're on the side of you've had unfortunate experiences, but you want to be better. And if you're that person, this is for you. But this is not designed for us to go in on women and what they're doing wrong. Okay? That's very important. Disclaimer number 2. If you are a person who rarely travels outside of your echo chamber, if you're a woman and you're not used to hearing men talk discreetly about their thoughts about women, their expectations, and you're easily triggered, it's not a good episode for you, because we're going to talk candidly about some stuff. Now, I get it. There's some people who just don't think that men should speak on topics like this, but I hear women speak freely about men all the time. All the time. And none of them say, hey, we need a man in the room. Right?
Right.
So again, this is a safe space. We're going to be honest and candid, but to my previous point, it's not a bashing session. Disclaimer number 3. We're not expecting perfection. Any quality man knows and understands his shortcomings, his flaws. So it would be hypocritical to demand perfection out of a woman. What I would like for you, if you're a woman listening, because we do have a lot of women who listen to the pod, and we appreciate y'all listening. Don't look at it as, man, this is overwhelming. Y'all are asking for too much. I just want you to hear how men think. It's going to be a lot because you may not have heard it put quite this way before, right? But you're here to gain an understanding, a better understanding of men. Now, I'm going to give a challenge at the end of this episode. That's when I'm going to challenge you to do one thing as it pertains to what you've heard. Okay. So we're not talking perfection. You don't have to be perfect in these things. You may not be doing some of these things. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. We're talking about what men desire, what they find desirable in a woman. Okay. 4th thing is we're talking about a certain kind of guy. And this is why it's so important for the men to listen, because we're trying to help develop men to be more quality. So we're not talking about every man is looking for this. We're talking about a quality man who's looking for a quality relationship, one that's long term. Fair?
Yeah.
I think I've gone through my disclaimers. So
You can append those at any point. They're not set in stone.
There you go.
Feel free to append them at any point.
append them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and get into the first one. So the first irresistible trait or quality, the first irresistible quality that a man wants from a woman is he wants honesty from a woman. Okay? What that means is, and in the author Bruce talks about unlimited honesty, but with limited openness. And what he means by that is when you're asked something, as y'all are conversing and getting to know one another, be honest. But you don't have to just drop and unload everything about your past, family history, dating history on a person, especially if he doesn't ask for it. And what he talks about is being a woman of mystery in a sense. And a woman who's mysterious, who doesn't just let everything hang all out, it builds intrigue in a man in that he wants to get to know her more. Right? And so what he indicates is that the problem that a lot of women may have is with this honesty thing is that they give up too much too soon. And because the man hasn't known you long or hasn't gotten a chance to know you, you can have a tendency to come off as unstable when you're sharing a lot of like personal stuff about your past. Because how it tends to work is, even when you get into some uncomfortable truths to share, if your character and the way you've been carrying yourself has been solid up to that point, he's observing all of that. And he can balance your past with the person that he's getting to know now. To an extent, of course. But he talks about being honest. It centers around being an honest woman. And one of the things that a quality man wants to see in a woman, he wants to see a woman who doesn't put up a front or presents herself as something that she's not. Right? Now, I understand about your representative and putting your best foot forward, but this is especially true of men of quality, men who are doing really well. They have a problem with dating women or meeting women who are trying to be something that they think he wants, but it's not really them. And so the issue is men want a woman who doesn't put up a front. They're being their authentic self. But at the same time, they're also not playing games. Now, this kind of ties into what you mentioned earlier with one of the fellas that you were speaking to about the last episode. If a man is leading and showing initiative, if he's pursuing, don't play games. If you like him, reciprocate. Let him know you like him too. It's okay to do that. Oftentimes women will play hard to get or do that, and see if a man doesn't feel as though you're being genuine or you're not being honest, that's a turnoff to him. And so one of the things that he says is just be honest. Also, too, and I think this is a very important point with honesty, is don't be afraid to show your vulnerability. And I think this is especially true with a lot of women, because a lot of women have bought into this idea of being the strong woman. But you have vulnerabilities.
Right.
And so what happens is, to a man, when you show vulnerability, what you're doing is you're appealing to a man's desire to want to protect. But if you strong all the time, you don't need me to protect. You don't need me to protect you. You like you got that all. You're a strong woman, right? So when it talks about vulnerability, and again, these are things that comes over time as you sharing and you get to know a person more. But a man wants a woman who's honest, upfront, not putting up a front, not playing hard to get, but is willing to show a vulnerable side. And there's even a scripture that talks. He didn't list the scripture, but I thought about the scripture, 1 Peter 3:7. And it says, and it refers to husbands, but it says husbands in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives and treat them with respect as the weaker partner. And when I hear that, it talks about, I hear vulnerability. If she's being vulnerable, she's able to be open and vulnerable or honest and vulnerable with you, then you want to protect that. You want to respect that. And it creates an opportunity for you, as y'all get closer, to be vulnerable yourself. So these are things that a man finds attractive in a woman, is that the fact that she's honest, and she knows she's honest when the time calls, when it calls for it. She's asked a question, limited openness, but unlimited honesty when asked. Thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Yeah. I mean, in general, yeah, I agree with. I don't know many men who wouldn't want an honest woman. So I do have some nuanced concerns, but they don't take away from my agreeing of the overarching.
Let's hear 'em.
I guess I'm hearing two things. Like, we want you to be vulnerable, but we don't want you to be too vulnerable. I feel like there's a slippery slope, and that's one concept I couldn't grasp.
Okay.
So
what would be do you talking about the openness part?
Yeah.
Okay.
What I took from that was be honest, but use a bit of discretion, is what I got from it.
Okay.
Does that help?
I don't know. and
think about you.
Like, think of my emotional makeup. It's all over the place, right? So when I think honesty, I tend to think of that unilaterally. When I think vulnerability, I think of that unilaterally. So I'm just like, you want me to be vulnerable? Here you go. So, and I'm not saying that's right by any means. I'm just telling you how I process it and how it seems synonymous to me.
You said, with you, it's like it's just a steady flow. It's no spigot to it.
You want vulnerability?
Here it
you
is.
Go.
But you do understand how that could be could sabotage you as if you're meeting someone.
It has.
by the end of the day, they're sitting there crying together.
Or she went to the restroom and didn't come back.
But I mean, and again, this is just me, but I think there's a lot of health in that. I do. But I'm also feelings, emotions on the sleeve. You ask me a question, man, I'm gonna tell you.
Maybe save it for the 8th date.
Shade thrown. I see what you did there, though. But yeah, I don't disagree. I just had that little nuanced concern, but not a deal breaker.
Just pace yourself.
What do you think about that, Black?
Yeah, I was kind of what I said. You have to, you would want to, the lady you're interested in to use some sort of discretion. Like, just like if you know there's a connection, I guess try to build it over time. Don't just don't put all your cards on the table on the first date. Just give it a little bit at a time. Each time y'all, like, if you feel like there's a deeper connection, I guess give them something a little bit deeper each time instead of giving it to them all at once.
The word he says is give the man the opportunity to unravel you.
Peel back the layers.
Yeah, slowly peel back that, because as he learns more, there's a desire and a hunger to know more. And you rob him of that when you just drop everything at his feet.
We are curious people.
We're curious people, and a mysterious woman piques that curiosity in a man. And again, it's an art to it. It's not an exact science per se, but just whenever the conversation comes up and you're asked something, don't lie. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But there is a discretion even in honesty.
Yeah, because one thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out, like, why are you single? That's like the first question in my mind when I meet someone, like, why are you single? I'm going to try to figure that out. I'm like, okay, this could be a reason. Maybe it's just the guys, like all these, like some of the points she's made early on about like attractiveness and things like that. Like, what category does she fall in as far as like why is she single?
Right. So we like that one. The first one was okay, Phyllis?
Yeah.
Okay. The second quality is supportiveness. Men want a woman who is supportive. And the reason why the author says that men want a woman who is supportive is because men interprets a woman's support as respect, which he ultimately processes that as love. So a woman who supports him is very, very, very important, because he looks at that as a sign of love and respect. One of the things that he mentioned, and again, this goes back to reciprocity. The man wants to know, are you generally interested in him? Do you want to get to know him? Right? And and you can feel when a woman is really interested in you, because she asks you questions that make you say, "What has her really asked me that before?" Right?
All right.
Like, there's a genuine interest that she takes in you. How does that make you feel, gentlemen, when a woman takes interest in you?
I feel invincible, man. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. Like, yeah, I'm thinking about my wife right now. Like, she holding it down.
Yeah.
Out here doing this thing. So, like, she may not listen, but she supports in different ways.
Okay.
Guess we won't go into that.
Yeah.
She's choosy about when she listens, so whatever. But for me, it's like, well, I mean,
but she supports you.
Yeah, you don't even have to. Like, to me, she could choose not to support me, than have to figure out like what to do with the kids and the whole domestic situation while I'm trying to
do whatever you're doing. Yeah. So support is pretty.
Yeah, because it's almost like in my mind, I'm feeling like, okay, she's a part of the team. Like, we can do things together,
right,
if she supports me, and in return, I can support her.
Right. One of the things that he talks about, which I thought this was good, is this is kind of like a self-reflection or evaluation of the woman. And he says, be honest with yourself about the bandwidth of your support. Because there are a lot of women who are busy. A lot of women climbing the corporate ladder. A lot of women are entrepreneurs, lawyers, doctors. You have a whole vision of your own. And so, again, if men interprets support as a sign of love and respect, it's not necessarily an issue of you not being willing. It's, do you have the bandwidth to be able to support him in a way that he needs support from you? And I think that's an important conversation, because you got a whole other kingdom you're trying to maintain, but he's got his kingdom that he wants support from you on. And I think these are conversations that aren't really had in relationships. And sometimes men can almost feel slighted or feel a way about a woman's career because it's pulling her away from the support that he craves and needs and wants.
Correct.
Thoughts?
I mean, you're reading my book right now. I mean, it's something we go through. You know, my wife's a very successful entrepreneur. But one thing I can give her credit on is when we were dating, she was very clear to me about what she was going after. So it was my own fault because I lost sight of what she said. So that led to, but you know, that there are seasons, right? So like, I don't know. I know now after trial and error, but there are seasons for that. There's seasons where we got to have all hands on deck for what you are chasing. It's like, you know, reciprocity. There's seasons for you to support what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Black?
I have a much more mature approach on that now than I did then.
Well, that's how that works.
I guess kind of like a little bit about what Ronnie is saying is that you have to see, I guess, you got to assess what your needs are in a relationship and what her needs are and see if y'all can find a balance. If there's balance between like what she needs and what you need, and can you provide it for each other?
That's good. And that's kind of what his next point is. Be supportive. He's encouraging a woman. Be supportive to this man, this quality man, but don't become his slave. And what that means is what tends to happen is women to throw themselves into the support of a man, supporting a man, but never requires or asks for anything back. And the analogy that came to mind as I was reading this is we think about our cars, our vehicles. Our vehicles get us from point A to point B each and every day. And we value what our cars do for us, right? So when it comes time to reinvest back into our cars, whether in the form of gas, service, oil change, whatever the case may be, we make sure we're doing that because we need that car for the long haul, correct? Think about, and for quality, because it's so easy to get acclimated and almost a sense of entitlement when you have a very supportive woman. You just expect her to be there. Make sure that her needs are being met as well. Just like you make sure your car is being serviced when it needs to be serviced because you need your car to get you from point A to point B. Just like you need her support, make sure she has her needs met. And that prevents her from feeling like she's a slave to you. We need the support, but she also needs some things from us as well. Another thing too, and another thing that men can learn from is, and I've learned this in my personal experience, I can relate to this, is we want a woman to support us, but she's already overwhelmed with some of our problems already.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we want her support, but we don't have ourselves together. We still got some stuff going on, and it's difficult for a woman to really support us if she feels the stress and burden of the issues you got going on. It's difficult for her to really support in that matter. And so I can recall times in my dating life that I wanted someone to support me, but there were some things that were like not really in place in my life. And it was tough for that girl to support me in that, which also means that you don't have to support something that is either wrong, either illegal, or, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to support dysfunction. And so, you know, as a man, make sure, as Jordan Peterson likes to say, make sure you clean your room. And it's easier for a woman to support a man when there's no dysfunction, or there's little dysfunction in a man's life, right?
Yeah. When
she feels secure, she's easy to support you in that, all things being equal. And so that's something that he talks about that adds balance to the support thing, because there's some things a man may ask a woman to support that she probably shouldn't be supporting. And so that's a quality point that he made that resonated with me, because I can remember back in the past, I wanted support when I probably didn't deserve it. Right. And then this kind of goes back into what I was saying about being honest with yourself. Are you a capable, reliable woman? Are you capable to, because oftentimes you want a high quality, high value man, but this man comes with, he comes with some requirements, and it's not just for you to sit up and look good, right? If this man is building a kingdom, he's probably looking for someone who can assist him in certain things that take some pressures off him, tasks that you need to be able to handle without him being around. And so are you capable? And there's a book that he references by Thomas J. Stanley called The Millionaire Mind. And in that, he interviewed like some millionaires, some successful businessmen. And one of the things they talked about that they valued in a woman was a woman who was able to support and help him either with the business, help them either with other things, but there needed to be a level of competency. And they said, some of these guys said that that's more attractive than a woman who's just really beautiful, a woman that can help him get to the next level. And herein lies why some women will say, you know, this millionaire's wife, she don't look all that, but she's probably really a strong support system for him. She's probably really capable and reliable. He can depend on her. He can hand her stuff and task, and she'll take it and run with it. Right?
Yeah.
So these are things that a man, especially a quality man, needs, is a woman who can support his vision, what he's got going on. Thoughts, guys?
It's no different than the first one you said about supportive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why we were talking. I don't know if we had a guest on that mentioned it, but you were talking about the support and the woman giving. Was there a guest that talked about like a cup being full or not full enough? Like you've given so much of yourself and your cup is empty or something like that?
I do recall.
Lewis, wasn't it?
I think that may have been Lewis.
That's what came to mind. It's like she's like her cup is empty while she's trying to fill your cup, and it needs to be balanced. So that's what I thought about when you're talking about the support part.
Absolutely.
And also when you're talking about the millionaire, what came to mind is like it doesn't take it don't require the same amount of maintenance for like a Ford Fiesta as it does like a Range Rover. Like if you're gonna be a millionaire, it takes a bit more maintenance than it does just an average guy.
Right.
That's what came to mind when you were talking about that.
I agree. And I think what a lot of women feel that when they land a guy like that is you've made it. You've crossed the finish line, right? I can just coast. I can go shopping during the day, and I can just drive this amazing, you know what I mean? I can just live it up when, yeah, that may work, but I don't know if you're going to get a long-term commitment from that guy, because how useful are you to him? How are you helping him? How are you supporting him, or is he supporting you? Right? Is it just that he's supporting you? Now, you can have the car, the shopping, all that if you're supporting him, right? And a guy is very attracted to a woman that can help him get to that next level and support him in that regard. So that's the second quality. Doing all right so far, gentlemen? Third quality, that irresistible quality men that look for, is feminine gracefulness. In other words, a feminine woman. Now, we talked about in the episode It's Time to Man Up, we talked about toxic femininity, right? And Black gave a definition for that, and it basically
was femininity.
It was the definition for femininity. And I get it. Like, man, listen, we're in a time where women have options and choices. They can stay in they can be traditional, or they can take advantage of the opportunity to have a career, go to college, have a degree, have several degrees, start a business, move up the corporate ladder, go out and conquer. But to do that in an age of empowerment, women are being encouraged to do all of these things, right? But there's consequences with everything, because to go out in that world and conquer and succeed and withstand challenges, overcome challenges, you end up cultivating masculine traits. Running parallel with that, though, is the desire for companionship and relationship. And because a lot of women, especially women who've been single for a long time, there's a natural tendency to have this struggle with transitioning back and forth between masculine and feminine traits. And so when it comes to doing life with a man or being with a man, you're a woman, obviously. He's attracted to the hardware, but the software is masculine, right? And so the analogy, and basically he says high quality men are naturally attracted to women who embrace their femininity. And we'll talk about examples of what femininity is. But the example I give with this is a lock and a key. This is what I thought about, okay? Thought about a lock and a key. A key, in order to reach its potential, doesn't need another key. It needs a lock, right? So a man and a woman coming together can reach their potential because they're, by design, they are to complement one another, right? But what happens is women who may even want to be feminine, but have developed masculine traits within themselves, have a difficult time attracting quality men for the long term, because you got a key and a key together. And long term, that's not going to work. You're not going to unlock his masculinity, or he's not going to unlock your femininity, right? So that becomes a challenge for a lot of women in terms of being able to attract a guy like that. Examples of femininity: nurturing. You're a nurturing woman. You're playful. Again, you're flirty with the guy, right? You are the physical femininity. Now we're getting into the dress, how you dress, how you carry yourself, right? These are feminine traits. He gave a few examples, and then he talks about feminine fertility. That also plays into being physically fit. Like, those things are, again, it basically is another word for saying it's sexy to a man. And I know that may sound objective, but men, we're visual. And so these things, the way you dress, like, again, it's summertime, sundress season. Now, you know what a sundress can do for most men, and you can be covered up, right? But it shows a woman, and that's something men, even though men may try, they can throw in a dress. They don't do it like a woman. Don't even look the same.
Oh, that got out of control very quickly.
What do you mean?
A man can throw on a dress?
There are a lot of men who throw dresses on. You haven't seen that before?
I've been seeing it more lately.
Yeah. You can throw it on, but you can't rock it like a woman. He's lost.
Where do we go?
Are you sleepy?
I don't know how that contributes to the convo.
But what I'm saying is that my point is that is very attractive to a man, a woman who embraces her femininity. I'll stop here. Hear y'all's thoughts.
It's a woman embracing the essence of what a woman is. Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's hard for me to add much to this.
Okay, I think I know how to get him going.
I guess the only thing that came to mind was, like, in a relationship, could there truly be two leaders? When you're saying the key thing, like, a man needs to be, well, traditionally a man should lead and a woman should follow. But if he's been in the corporate workforce workforce and things like that, she may be conditioned herself to be like a leader. She may be a manager or a leader at work, and when you come home, you can't turn that off.
Right. Yeah, and that's something that happens in our household. You know, like my wife runs her shop, and it's a struggle because it's not always easy for her to turn that off. Right. So yeah, I mean,
has she
when she does turn it off, yeah, things are great.
So I guess how did you get to that point?
What's that?
How did y'all get to here?
Oh, I mean, confrontation. Yeah, I had to stop being scared of it. And
healthy confrontation?
No, for me. Again, my wife is nowhere near as emotional as I am, so factor that in. But you know, it's the common trait of just getting fed up with certain behaviors and just deciding to do something about it without thinking it out.
So you've seen how this has affected you.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I will say it was work for us and my approach to my wife. All women are different, but I've taken a more interrogative approach by asking questions, lead her to the answers, throw my hands up, walk away.
Do you think it would help? You know, I'm having a daughter.
Yeah.
Because I'm not. Well, what?
I'm still holding out on hope for young Delonte. But anyway, go ahead.
Not after what you just named her last week.
Zariana? What?
Pick one. Zariana or Delonte?
Yes.
So, for me as a father with my daughter, I'm going to encourage her to pursue her dreams. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to suppress her dreams of whatever it is she wants to do. But I do know that going out into that world, she's going to pick up some traits that may be difficult to shut off in the case of your wife. When she comes home, let's say she's married, it's going to be difficult for her to transition back into her femininity. What would you advise? Like, how can we train or just get it in the minds that, hey, if you're going to go out into the world, but you still want companionship, you still want a life with a man, you still want a husband, how do we encourage them to cultivate both?
That's a good question.
That's my question.
That's a really good question, because you would want your daughter to maximize her potential, whether she's single or married, right?
Right.
So let's say while she's single, she's in college, she graduates, your narrative to her is not going to be, hey, babe, look, you're doing well, but make sure you're keeping a small part of your heart reserved for a man, so this whole success thing looks different. Who's saying that?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people, I think what happens is people hint at the thought of you needing a man as you're in your career, as a woman's in her career successful, but no one is talking about how you should prepare yourself in the event that man comes into your life.
Well, and gosh, I'm reiterating your question, because I'm even at a standstill mentally. Like, how does that happen? Because you don't want to. At least I would think you wouldn't want your girl to be on the track for success, but maybe you kind of hinder that because she has to learn how to be led. You know what I mean? I don't know where that.
Do you think that starts with conversations? Just conversations with your as you gradually, she's able to, mature.
I just don't know how that combo looks.
Yeah.
Because you think about it now, like, we have some dope women who are doing great things right around us that are single.
Yeah.
Do you risk putting the gas, or applying the brakes to that momentum?
I don't know.
To encourage a woman to keep part of her heart ready for a man to come and lead her?
I'm not sure. That's actually a really good question, because I don't think my initial response is no. What about you, Black? I don't think you want to suppress her where her goals and dreams are, but at the same time, there should be a way for you to cultivate that part of you.
Well, I was wondering, as far as you, how have you and your wife done it? Because I would say your daughter would, the first example would be how you raise her, like how you and your wife
Good question or good point.
interact and like do it. And then also, I guess examples like in the church.
Yeah.
But I would think just first off, it would start in your home, like giving her an example of like, hey, this is how me and your mom are doing it.
She would have a model.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife, I mean, she's working now. We'll see how that goes once the baby gets here. That's still up in the air. But at the same time, I've always been the type that, hey, pursue your dreams, do what you got, do what you want to do. You want to come home, you can come home. Totally up to you. You know, that's fine either way. But I think at the same time, I think showing how healthy that can be would be encouraging. Considering how we relate to one another. Yeah, my wife, I mean, of course, she went to school. Her degree, and what's so funny is she got an engineering degree and she worked in her career or her field for maybe like 2-3 years or so, but it was really rigorous for her. So she got out, came back home, started doing something different, something else. And so, you know, for her, there was just certain things that she just didn't want to develop that thick skin for. And like I said, she works now, and I encourage her to, hey, to pursue your gifts, pursue the things that you enjoy. But yeah, I think that boiled down to her just being kind of open and honest with herself about who she was and what she was willing to deal with. You know, sometimes that happens a lot when we choose a certain career this is not what I bargained for. So,
Right.
So, to get on, one of the things he talked about else was the damsel in distress. That men actually like a woman who plays, and Gatry is shaking his head.
100%. 100%. Yes. I'm coming over to fix that light bulb.
Okay,
And
Captain.
If you act like you don't know how to fix it.
I saw what he did there.
I saw what he did. I'm not worried about Clay.
Go ahead.
I'm coming over to fix the light bulb. And
You coming over to kill that bug?
yes.
You coming over
When
to-
you act like you don't know how to fix it, yeah, I'm turned on.
Why are you turned on?
Because I'm a man like that embraces the embodiment of what manhood is. You're not going to make me feel better about myself than letting me do something like that for you, even if it is a light bulb.
Or change a tire.
Yeah, I'm about to say. I remember my wife was when we were dating. Man, she called me. Yeah, I got a flat tire. I know how to do it, but I want you to at least come so I don't get hit by anything. I was like, man, say less. I was there. You can stand on the side, but I'm changing this tire.
How to make you feel when you changed it?
Oh my goodness, like Superman.
And you're right.
Yeah, men gotta have that, bro.
A woman who understands a man's, because really and truly, it's a man's. You know, he talked about pickup artists and how the whole the science behind a pickup artist is to train men to suppress their open desire to impress a woman. So usually what pickup artists try to do is come off as nonchalant with a woman to gain her attention, because typically that's what men have done. You have a question.
Run that back. Express their desire to want to help a woman.
So when
Is that what you said?
No.
They're encouraged. Okay, say it again, because I
pickup artists?
Yeah, I didn't. I felt like I didn't hear it right.
So the thing with pickup artists is suppressing the desire to try to impress a woman.
Oh, okay.
And one of the tactics pickup artists attempt to do is try to teach men to come off as nonchalant around a woman.
Uninterested.
Yeah, uninterested. Right. And usually that'll gain her, especially an attractive woman, because she's anticipating men to be interested in her. So when you come off as uninterested, you stand out. And she notices you more than the other 20 guys who's been trying to talk to her all night. Right. But what happens is that's all proof that men have a desire to want to impress a woman. If you have to learn tactics like that. And a savvy woman who's trying to attract her guy will play into that guy's need and desire to want to impress her, just like what she can kill the bug. She can do all of that, but she'll call you in that voice and say, babe, can you come over here? It's something that crawled up under the bed. Can you get it? Can you look for it?
Oh, I'm about to crawl up under the bed.
That went somewhere fast. Right?
I'm married, dude. I'm 40.
Yeah, that's a guy who showed up at the front door already knowing her address and everything.
I mean, that may or may not be true, but this is not about me.
But you can relate to that.
Yeah, 100%.
A cheerful, optimistic woman. What's the value of a cheerful, optimistic woman?
Invaluable.
Go on. A woman who's just optimistic and cheerful.
You want a Debbie Downer?
No, I want you to go on like he asked you to.
I'm curious, but you go ahead, Black.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that would be invaluable to you. Someone that's always there to lift your spirit, and she's always happy.
And she's there to celebrate, like turn up when you do well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want a woman who, like, everything's always a problem?
Why are you looking at me?
Because you seem to have, like, that crazy face.
I'm curious what you were thinking.
No, I was agreeing.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you okay?
That's
that was
your agreement face? Okay.
I didn't know.
We were
I was like,
confused.
you start moving and shifting. You know, usually people do that when they get uncomfortable.
I'm getting stiff.
There it is.
Y'all see a trend here?
Yeah. But what were you going to say?
Did you bring the biofreeze? I gotta get out of this 40 mindset. No, I mean, one thing I did think of is my wife has a tendency to be overly optimistic. Now, with this,
Really?
with this optimism, and it's selective, okay? But with this optimism, does it have to be balanced?
What's the counter?
What do you mean?
For instance,
I was like, what's the counter to it?
yeah, we're gonna fly across country with our two boys to Disney, deal with 2 canceled flights, have a flight diverted, get there 6 hours after we're supposed to, get to Disney, everybody's gonna be happy, go Mickey, go.
Well,
Overly optimistic, not enough realism there.
well. Okay. Context. We gotta have. You want to do it again? Okay. Context. We know how your wife feels about Disney World and Disneyland.
Right.
But what I'm saying as it pertains to you and what you got going on in your world.
To the man, not necessarily.
In general. With her. How to pertain the things about you.
Well, I don't know, Walker.
Okay, go.
Because we go back to the support thing, right?
Sure.
We got to be willing to support them just as much as they're willing to support us.
But my point is, Gatry, with a woman who is dating a guy.
We're at the dating stage.
We're a woman who's dating a guy. I mean, again, you can
Toss all this out then. I'm
a woman who's
Years.
again, we're trying to help a woman who's dating a guy. How important is it for her to be cheerful and optimistic?
okay. Next one.
Come on, man. You trying to get,
I get lost, man. I get lost.
You trying to help the...
We're trying to help the ladies, man,
Okay.
and the guys at the same time.
My bad. Marriage is a great thing.
Think about
We're trying to get them there.
think about a cheerleader. Don't do that again. Don't do that this week, please. Don't do that again this week, please. Think about a cheerleader, right?
I'm with you.
See how you perked up? See how you perked up, Gat? Okay, describe a cheerleader. Describe a cheerleader. Describe a cheerleader. Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Describe what you see when you envision a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.
In shape. Feminine.
In shape. How's she dressed?
You can see a lot of skin.
A man can't wear, like, men don't normally wear what they wear, right? Straight men, right?
No.
Okay, it's for a woman, and they look not. How do they look? Long hair?
Yeah.
That's
Not medium.
okay. Face made up nice.
Yes, they're ready to be on national television.
Have you ever seen a cheerleader frowning on the sideline? Even when they're losing.
I can't say that.
Even when the team is getting ran off the field,
Right.
have you seen cheerleaders look frowning?
I'm not giving you that, but I have once. I just hit it.
He just got to look for that one time, right?
You know when it was. I can't even say the words anymore.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay,
but
good. I don't know either.
Okay, but my point is, Black. You know, you can.
Yeah, they have a role to look a certain way, present a certain way,
And they're always cheerful.
hence cheerleader.
You're the cheerleader of that man's life. Right?
This has been one of my battle cries.
And that's
as a man, I'm for real.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
But that's mine too.
When that woman is, good things are gonna happen.
So if you're a guy and you're dealing with a woman who's just quarrelsome, everything's a problem.
Yeah. That's a problem.
If everything's a problem, you can't even be happy for them. Everything's an issue. Are you attracting that man or repelling him?
Repel. It's easy.
Okay. 4, unconditional respect. Now, what I mean by unconditional, I got to clarify.
Yeah, when you said that first thing popped in my mind, I was like, because I said so.
Your respect for the man isn't based on how you feel in the moment. If you having a bad day or in a bad mood, we need respect. We crave respect like women crave love and affection. Right? That's how you love a man, is you respect him. And in many cases, and he says it, men want it more than sex, which I can actually attest to this.
I'm not that mature yet.
Say what now?
I'm not that mature yet.
Okay. I've had a girl turn me all the way off from her because of the blatant disrespect.
That makes sense.
Right? Like I don't want anything from you when you start disrespecting me. And the problem with this is women aren't really wired to give respect. They give love. That's why women are nurturing. So in the same way that, generally speaking, now I'm speaking general, but in the same way that men have to work at being affectionate and loving towards their woman, he says that women, generally speaking, have to work at respecting that man, because that's not something that they naturally will give. And he talks about a woman's background, especially if she grew up in a home without a father, or if she's had traumatic experiences related to men. You're going to struggle in the area of giving that man respect. What do I mean by respect? We have a need for responsibility as men. Can we relate? When you take away a man's need for responsibility or a place in your life, you rob him of the opportunity to be a man in your life. That's why it's so dangerous when I hear women say, and that's why I went so hard last year when I talked about women needing a man, is when you say you don't need a man, you're basically telling a man there's no place for you in my life, which is it sets the tone, the environment for, and is the absolute definition of what it means to emasculate a man. Because you're basically robbing him of, one, his identity and his role. For women who have worked so hard to be successful, who can do a lot of things for themselves, you have to ask yourself, what is that man's place in your life? And does he know it? Is it a significant place in your life? Because if I just feel like I'm just something on your checklist of things to get in life, I'm not going to feel valued and respected. So it's important to, as you get successful, you got a lot of things occupying your time. Where does a man fit in your world, in your life? And have for many people, therapy, have you taken the time to go to therapy and work out whatever internal issues you may have as it pertains. Because a lot of women have issues trusting men, and you hear it easily, especially when women, like bad faith arguments for women, as men cheat. This, we're not talking about cheating men. We're talking about quality men here, men of character, men of value, right? If you have deep-seated, deep-rooted issues stemming back to your childhood or failed relationships, you're going to have a tough time providing that unconditional respect for a man. Thoughts, gentlemen? I said it all.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, that's a core competency, man. Like,
rough how? You said it's rough?
It's rough to add any more to that.
Oh.
Respecting a man is a core competency.
I probably went in the wrong direction, but when you were talking about respect, what popped in my mind is like, I don't know how it is like you and like your wife, if y'all had a family function, would she fix your plate and bring it to you, or are you expected to fix it yourself? Or
she's fixed my plate for me.
Do you feel that as respect, or?
I tell you what I interpret as respect. When she disagrees with me, but does it in a very
private,
mindful way.
And private.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? When she talks to me or talks to me when we get by ourselves and is like, hey, what was that all about? Why did you do that?
Instead of how I've seen many people that I know, they get into a yelling match at a restaurant over something petty. And
see what happens is that man, and the reason why it gets to that point is because now you've met Key with Key energy, right? You've turned up on him. Now he has to defend his honor against his woman.
It's a natural instinct.
And he has to get louder than you. Or exert himself.
Because you can't be.
Wait. Let's dial it back. Are these attributes of a quality man?
What's that?
He has to yell to.
No, I'm saying that's what he would. That's one thing he could do. I'm not saying that's the best thing.
He will be tempted to do that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He would be tempted to do that. Yeah, a quality man would be. He would just put it away quietly.
Right.
Be done with her. Right. But what I'm saying is that's typically what happens when you see stuff like that happens. Is because now the man has to get back control. It's the respect thing.
He'll try to meet her with her energy.
I got to get back control of the situation.
Okay.
That's usually what that becomes. That's the whole reason that fight happened. Right?
Yeah.
There's a way, and even with the whole support thing, the whole fight, the respect thing, you don't have to agree and go along with everything. And that's not what the author is saying. But what he is saying is there's a right way to do everything. And so when it comes to me with the whole plate thing, like, I think it's a sweet gesture. I don't really interpret it as much as respect, because the reason why I like this point, and I think this is the most important point, is if you can figure this one out, the other ones actually start falling in place. Because if I respect you, I'll be honest with you. If I respect what you got going on, I'll support you. If I respect you, I can be feminine around you when I respect. You know what I mean? The other ones become easier when a woman has respect for a man.
So respect is the foundation.
It's the foundation as far as I'm concerned. If you don't have this, we can throw this whole list out. It's going to be tough to do the other stuff. Right? Mm-hmm. So I think this is a biggie, in my opinion. So, any more thoughts before we move on? So the next one I got, hold on, gentlemen. Getry's not turning up as much today. I'm taking your notes.
Yeah, like it's hard for me to turn up on this stuff.
The next the next quality is understanding and complete acceptance. In other words, a woman who accepts the man and doesn't try to turn him into what she wants him to be. Thoughts? Before I go into my notes, I'm going to let y'all go off of that.
So the first thing popped to my mind was sometime when women go into a relationship with a man, they have an idea of what that they want that man to be, and they think they can change him into their ideal man instead of accepting him as who he is. That's the first thing that popped up in my head. I don't know about you, Gatry.
Yeah. I was getting reflective again, but
think about the masses, man.
I know. That's why I had to like
Dial
search
it
the
back.
ceiling, trash a bunch of stuff, and figure out what I was gonna say. But yeah, but it's classic. Like, sadly, this is a common thing. If I get this guy a little rough around the edges, but I can train him. I can get him where I want to go. I will ask this question for you two. Is this acceptable within reason? Example, when I met Ronnie, his wardrobe was khaki pants, brown 2-button shirt from Old Navy. I feel like he can do a lot better, so I'm going to delicately upgrade his wardrobe and to mold him into what I think he should look like.
I don't think that is as deep. Like
It's
like that's kind of superficial. She can
Okay.
I can let her have this superficial stuff. It's the more
But if I like Old Navy,
yeah.
she got to respect that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Just as long as you're not going out together.
Here's the thing, and one of the things I got from the book is you can only help him grow in areas that he wants to grow in.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If he's open to growing in an area, you can, again, support. You're supporting him by saying, hey, let's try this. Let's try this. You know what I mean? Now, but he's open to it now. So it doesn't feel like you're trying to change him. You're now supporting him, if that makes sense.
Okay. It does.
Because if you're not ready to change and she is, and she's trying to force you to change, you're going to begin to resent her because she's going to come off as nagging. She's going to come off as someone who doesn't really respect what you got. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lack of acceptance there.
Even if it is something like clothing.
Sure, if you don't want to change your clothes.
Okay.
I'm guessing that wasn't that important to you though, right?
It turned out not to be. I made it with resistance, but it ended up working out for me.
When you get compliments.
Now I'm back to my
when you started getting compliments, you were okay?
Oh yeah. Real talk. So
And that's typically what I know about Gatry. He'll just throw up a resistance to most stuff, and then later it's the best idea ever.
yeah.
That's his initial reaction.
That's typically his
that's on brand for me.
So Black, how what do you make about that? Like a woman who, again, there has to be established acceptance as to who you are. But then if the guy is open to some change, he's open to some, or he doesn't really care about certain stuff. Oftentimes it's stuff that the guy don't even want to do anyway. Like, I just be throwing stuff on. She'll help in that regard. You know what I mean? It'll be stuff that he doesn't care about already that she can help with.
I'm almost at a point where like it's a lot of things that don't matter to me, but the thing that does is what I do with my time and what you're trying to get me to do with my time. That'll be the big thing for me.
Yeah.
If I have something planned and you have something you want me to do, but you didn't tell me about it in advance, or
Well, that goes back to respect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's most other things don't really matter that much to me, but like my time is very valuable to me.
Yeah, for sure. That goes back to respect for sure. Okay, where we at? Number 5? That was 5? Did y'all have anything else on that?
No.
Unwavering loyalty.
A Dallas Cowboy fan.
That was a good one. What do you think about that, fellas?
Think about Tim Harris. Y'all remember his analogy?
Yeah. Go ahead, repeat it for me.
He essentially said, and I butcher these so much, but he essentially said, men often get accused of cheating, but men by nature are unparalleled when it comes to loyalty. You said when you said Dallas Cowboys, that was my trigger to think about Tim. Yeah, well.
Is he a Dallas Cowboy fan?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
but I think about my teams. I don't waver from my teams. I may favor one to win the NBA, but they're not really my team.
Amen to that.
Yeah, they are.
But that loyalty is ingrained in a lot of men, I think. So I think it's only natural that your quality man would desire that in his female counterpart, in my opinion.
Black?
I agree with what Gatcher said.
I agree too. How important is reassurance on the part of the woman to a man?
Reassurance.
Because that's one of the things he talks about. In other words, we like to hear a woman reassure us that we are important to her.
Oh my goodness.
Even when we're at a low point.
You mean words of affirmation?
Which is part of the next one.
Sound like a book coming. Go ahead.
Well,
Kat.
no, it's a love language, and from men that I know, one of the common trends seems to be that ranks pretty high. It may not be the highest.
It's high for me.
It's going to be in the top 2 or 3, I would think. So I know how getting that reassurance makes me feel.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man.
Do you think a woman shows the ability to be more loyal to a guy when she's really into him and not what he can do for her, per se?
Yeah.
Now, granted, she's going to want a man to do some things for her. There's nothing wrong with her about
reciprocity.
wanting that. But I'm more open to wanting to do for her when she shows a true, genuine interest and concern for me as a person.
Let me hear it. I want to hear from you. Like, you need to tell me that I'm doing the right things. I'm checking the right boxes. I got to hear that.
You got to be appreciated.
Yeah, I got to hear that. And when I hear that,
does it matter if she's like, if you do something, she says thank you? Are those like, is that really huge?
for me, thank you goes a long way.
Okay.
And, I'm not one to like assess undertones and things like that. Thank you. That's all I need now. You want to tell me more than that, then yeah, the benefits from that are going to be
again. So if a woman is really drawing you in, she can be like, I really appreciate the dinner and I appreciate the time it took. You're so good. Like, you just eat all.
She can have her way with me after that.
That's your language.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
What does loyal mean to you, Black?
I guess being able to support me and kind of going back to what you said, like if there was like a disagreement and we're out in public, we handle it in private.
That's a form of reassurance for you?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you this about loyalty. The challenges and issues y'all have, can she run to her friends and family about it?
Can she or should she?
It's kind of interesting because I don't know about her friends and family, but like I can understand if it's one best friend or confidant, that I'm okay with. Going to your family and getting all this different input, I'm not for that because everybody's going to give you their opinion. I'm good with like a very best friend or confidant, but if it goes beyond that,
is that more of a disloyal thing, or is it just a boundaries thing for you?
It's a boundaries because I don't expect if something to happen that we disagree with for her to keep that bottled up and try to deal with it on her own. Because I bounce ideas off my close friends also.
Yeah.
So I would expect her to do the same thing.
He mentions therapy, but I just don't know how many people actually, like, most people do have close friends that they do bounce stuff off of. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so that was one rule I was like, I don't know about that, but I get it. I get it, especially if you're loose-lipped. I agree with the family thing because your family has a way of not letting go.
And they will hold that against that person after you've already forgiven them.
Yeah. It's best to keep the whole family out of it just because there's an investment. They're invested in that person on a whole different level. Like friends are invested, right? But family takes it to another level, right? So I just think I do agree with him on the family thing. But friends, I mean, you got some friends that'll hold you down if you got some good friends. But what about a woman? What about being an empathetic person? Like if you know how to empathize with other people or you're empathetic towards him, does that show loyalty to you if a person can empathize with what you're going through?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we need more of that.
Yeah, I'm not qualified for this. I'm an empath.
You're overqualified.
You're overqualified. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I see. Okay.
3G. One of the things he mentioned was don't put the man, the man isn't a category. And I kind of mentioned it earlier. Like you're not on his to-do list. So if a man feels like you was just a degree, job, house, car, successful man, kids, I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm just a to-do list item. He's not going to feel like when things get tough, you're going to stick with me. Fair?
Oh, very fair.
So making that man feel like he's important and not just a list on your item is critical to showing or reassuring him that you're really here for him. Cool. Last one is number 7, proactive love. And he talks about the 5 love languages.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Proactive. Sound like that's your thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Proactive
right, there
love.
There you go.
Proactive
soapbox.
There you
proactive
go.
Love or proactive love making.
That escalated quickly.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, so what he says is
the Walker pivot.
This is a woman who understands her man's needs and goes out of her way to ensure that they are met. Okay.
All right. I'm turning down.
Okay.
Like know what I need before I need it.
Yeah.
Well,
or
okay, I'm turning back up. Go ahead. Because you need to finish this before I just go.
I kind of want you to go because when I do go, you shut all. You have nothing less to add.
I want to grow.
I'm too afraid.
I want to grow. I want to grow a little bit tonight.
You do?
Yes.
No, I want you to go first.
Well, that doesn't help my growth. Finish, please.
So, proactive love, in other words, you're not responding to things that happen. You're actually influencing things in the relationship. For example, we've been mentioning sports. Let's say, and you probably already are a season ticket holder, but let's say your team is Alabama, right?
I'm not.
Hypothetically.
But let's just say your wife surprises you with tickets to the game. Okay?
That's never happened.
She sends the boys away, and she buys tickets for you and some of your close friends, and she encourages y'all to hang out. Or
she coming?
Do you want her to come? No, I thought.
Think about that answer.
I thought it was just gonna be a bro trip.
Blink once if no.
Right. Are you okay?
I'm good.
But you see what I'm saying? Like that's a thought. Or she lays out a spread for you to hang out and watch the game.
Wow.
She smoke you some wings.
She sends the boys away, and she gets some of your favorite foods. You kick up and watch the game and enjoy yourself. That's proactive, right?
It is.
Or let's say you've had a rough week of work. Okay? And she does something like sends the boys away and y'all have a staycation at home, you and her. And you get charged back up on the proactive type stuff.
Wait, I thought we weren't talking about marriage.
But see, this also can apply, if you're listening, this can also apply in dating relationships as well. I'm just giving you those examples so you see them.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I'm talking about a woman who is thinking, basically being thoughtful around the areas of need for her man. If he's high stress because of work, how do I get him to relax? Right?
Yeah.
If it's something that he enjoys, how can I get him to enjoy that? And think about what it means to you when your wife goes out of her way to do those things for you. How you start thinking about her, man, she is really dope.
How did she come up with a surprise birthday party for me?
Yeah.
And I had no idea.
Right.
How does she know that I deal with low down, dirty scoundrels that I allow to get close to me and
Because she's
deceive me?
proactive.
I've thanked my wife every day since then.
See?
For that party. Yeah.
Now we're back.
Yeah, see? And he does get into understanding a person's needs. And he talks about the 5 love languages. And he talks about, he runs down the list of them. And I think those are conversations. If a woman understands, for you, it's words of affirmation, but yours is also physical touch. So imagine if a guy likes physical touch and she always is up under him, always cuddling with him, always, you know what I'm saying? Like he wants to be touched. She gives back rubs. Like, think about how that makes that man feel. That makes him feel amazing, right? Even if it's words of affirmation, it could be the smallest of things to the biggest of things. Like, you are so smart when it comes. Like, even when you talk about podcast stuff, like, you are really you're so, I love how you intelligently just communicate this stuff. Like, it actually makes sense. I could follow you. Like, think about how that makes you feel even in that.
Yeah.
Right? A woman who understands that guy's needs. And again, it is reciprocal as a guy. You got to reciprocate that. But at the same time, that helps a woman. That helps a woman in terms of maintaining that guy, keeping that guy around. That guy, he can't get. Think if he does 1 through 7 of the, if she does 1 through 7 of these, or some of these, he can't get enough of this woman. Right?
Right.
Thoughts on the last one? And he's back.
I mean, I don't have anything to add to that.
I mean, it's just taking the time to think about your man, let him know that, like, he's important. If I'm willing to take the time to, like, see what's going on in his life, seeing how I can do something for him that he's not expecting, that I know that he needs.
It's going to send me to the moon. Yeah.
So here's my challenge to the women, because this was a lot. We talked about a lot of different topics. All I'm challenging women to do is just choose one and cultivate it. If you're in a relationship, if you're talking to a guy, or even if you're married, this can help even in a marriage. Choose one of these that you may not be particularly strong at and cultivate it. And I encourage you, if you want, the author's name is Bruce Bryans, The 7 Irresistible Qualities Men Want in a Woman.
You gonna show him the book?
I already did.
Oh, okay.
I did at the beginning.
Okay.
I can do it again. This is the book. 7 Irresistible Qualities Men Want in a Woman. What you guys thought about this? Still nodding.
Yeah,
I need words on a podcast.
No, these things
What are your
are
words
like
of affirmation, man?
These, great job, Walker. These things are engraved
Sincerity.
in the DNA of men.
Are we thinking about these things?
Are we as men thinking about them?
These are things that we may not be thinking about them. Go ahead.
I think we're thinking about them. I don't think we're communicating them.
That's fair.
I know I didn't, especially back in the dating thing. I had an expectation for her to know, which is not fair.
Yeah.
But I can't help but think 8 dates.
I don't think I knew all of this when I was dating, though, in fairness.
Does 8 dates happen?
But think
If
about
that man knows these things.
probably not. But that's why this helps both men and women as well.
Precisely, Walker.
This helps both men and women in that regard. But I think these are things, man, if you're really if you're vetting out a woman, this will help you identify red flags at the very least, right?
Right.
You should identify something. Again, if that woman is combative and she's you see a lot of masculine traits in her. She's very argumentative. She's not really supportive. She ain't got time to support you. She ain't got time to show up at this event for you because she got this going. Y'all, and it may not be she's a bad person. It just means she may not be the fit for you. Just may not be. And I think too, for a lot of women, you got to ask yourself some questions. Is this the guy I need to be loyal with? Is this the guy I need to be supporting? Because again, you could have a choosing problem. You could be with a guy that doesn't qualify for any of these things I've talked about. Right?
Yeah.
And again, you have to, even yourself as a woman, have to be asking yourself these questions along the way. I like that he didn't talk about sex as much, because most people won't be honest that in a dating relationship, it's difficult to make decisions if you don't have a sober mind. And oftentimes when sex is introduced, our judgment gets cloudy. We don't take tests or exams while we're drunk because we need all of our mental capacity to think and evaluate. You do what you do. If you want to have sex, do what you do. But I just know from my anecdotal experience, personal experience, and I've had a few of them, there have been times I've given grace to people that I should not have given grace to. There have been times I let a relationship go on far too long, and that should have been cut off early on in the process because I got physical early and developed that attachment, and it was tough to detach. So I like that he didn't really talk about sex. And in the last one about proactive love, he talks about men have a desire to escalate physical intimacy while women have a desire to escalate emotional intimacy. And there's a balancing act to that. And that's where he talked about the importance of establishing boundaries. Again, he's putting it back on a woman to evaluate, hey, if this guy wants this and you're not ready, it may not be a good fit for you. So I love how he balances this whole book by evaluating the guy that you're with. And if y'all aren't compatible, or if your needs and wants are incongruent with one another, this may not be a good fit for you. And it's okay to walk away. And I don't think you're a bad woman if you're not really good at some of these, but this is a challenge to pick one and work on it.
Keep Your Point Podcast.